On the web today, you type my name, John Heilemann, into a search engine and boom, in a third of a second you can find out instantly that I'm a magazine journalist and peruse a catalog of pretty much everything I've ever written. Given that there are over 150 million websites and billions of web pages out there, the technology that makes super accurate search possible is kind of a miracle. And it's a miracle that most of us have come to take entirely for granted. We forget that a little more than 10 years ago, this is what the web looked like. Page after page of plain text, long lists of underlined sentences. Finding what you were looking for on the web was damn near impossible. There was no way to search for anything. All you could do was follow links and hope that luck would land you somewhere useful. To understand how we've come so far, how the web search miracle happened, we have to go back to the time before Google, to the story of the companies like Yahoo and Excite that paved the way for its existence and became its fiercest rivals, and to a little place in California that you may have heard something about.
Silicon Valley, California. This 30-mile stretch is the place to be for people with a knack for inventing the future and an appetite for getting enormously rich in the process.
It's the home of legendary tech names like Apple and Intel and Oracle. But the heart of Silicon Valley, the real wellspring of the high-tech industry, the source of countless great ideas, isn't any company. It's Stanford University. And it's here at Stanford where the roots of search can be found. We're interested in a couple of slackers named Jerry Yang and David Filer, who were left to their own devices when their professor went on a year-long sabbatical.
Now, if you're trying to impress upon your kids the importance of being diligent about their studies, always doing their homework, this is not a particularly good story to tell them. Because while Jerry and David were goofing around, they hit on an idea that would become the basis for one of America's best-known businesses and turn them into billionaires.
Today, their company is called Yahoo, and it's among the most trafficked sites on the web.
It all began when Jerry and David were trying to find a sneaky way to use the internet to win a Stanford fantasy basketball league.
The boys were electrical engineering students, and they had access to the web. They scoured it laboriously, site by site, looking for up-to-date sports information.
David figured out how to go to all these different places to get all the data from the previous night's basketball games. Pulled it all in and crunched data and try to figure out what, we should change players or trade players or do whatever.
It's hard to imagine a more trivial pursuit than fantasy basketball. But in hunting around for obscure sports data on this weird, clunky network called the internet, Jerry and David were taking the first steps on the road to search.
Even to understand what this thing was and what the internet had to offer, you needed some kind of guide, you needed some kind of directory to kind of help you kind of navigate through that.
This was a simple but brilliant thought, a directory that could show virgin web users how to find cool stuff in this new electronic world. But it was nothing like search today. It was just a bunch of categories and subcategories that you could hunt and peck around in. It was incredibly crude, compiled manually by a pair of geeks who spent hours looking at as many websites as possible, then deciding how to list them. Crude or not, though, what the guys called Jerry and David's Guide to the World Wide Web was the first thing of its kind, and it proved immensely popular. Millions of users from around the globe flocked to the site. The guys soon realized that they needed a shorter, snappier, punchier name, one that sounded kinda, exciting.
Yahoo!